pay tribute to Penny. Penny was a wife, a mother, a cousin, a sister, and a friend to so many. So, share your stories, reacquaint with family and friends. Enjoy yourself as Penny would wish. This eulogy was written by Marilyn Ponce Guthrie, Penny's sister. Marilyn was unable to attend. They had a water issue at her home, and so she had to stay home and deal with this issue. And in all fairness to Sis, she will be 81 in September, so that would be quite an issue to deal with. And it is my honor to deliver Sis's words. Penny was born in the Viking Municipal Hospital, delivered by Dr. Caldwell on June 3rd, 1952. She passed away in Tofield Long-Term Care Facility on September 22nd, 2023, at 71 years of age. She was a wee one then, weighed under 5 pounds, and was always a petite lady. Mom used a dresser drawer as her cradle until she was big enough for the white wicker bassinet that Mom had decorated with yellow ribbons prior to knowing the sex of her new baby. We older siblings loved her immediately, as she was fair with hazel eyes and truly a living doll. Sam and I were 8 when Penny was born. We 3 older sisters were very dark-haired, and we would tell people that Penny was adopted. Nice sisters. As a baby, the public health nurse provided a liquid form of vitamin C given by an eyedropper, and almost immediately, Penny developed eczema of her face and hands. This was probably the start of her lifelong allergy to oranges, but she loved them and would eat them just the same. Yes, as a child, she was terribly spoiled compared to the rest of us. That's kind of a common theme, isn't it? We always said she was our father's favorite and ate and did what she wanted. From a young age, she loved animals. Both cats and dogs were her favorite. Around 5 years of age, she loved a small white kitten who had been severely injured and could not walk. Mom's plan was different from Penny's, and I think you can figure out what Mom had planned. But Penny dressed up that kitten in her doll clothes and traveled with her doll buggy up and down the street, planning to run away from home. But she would get to the end of the street, which was really only half a block long, and come back home crying. Guess she didn't know the direction for running away from home. Mom really had 2 families. After the 4 siblings left home, Penny at age 10 and Chub age 8 were underfoot. Well, Chub is another story. But Mom and Penny had a very special relationship. Mom lived to be 87, and Penny and Harvey cared for her. Penny had a coffee and smoke with Mom nearly every day. Penny once told me that her very best job ever was working for Diane Hansen at Greensleeves, a high-end fashion store in Viking. Yes, dear friends, Viking did have high-end stores at that time. She loved her fur coat and nice clothes, and she could trip around all day long in her high heels. From a young age, while still in school, Penny worked at Blunt's nursing home as a caregiver and also in the kitchen, and then she later worked in the dietary department at the Viking Hospital. Penny and her first husband, Stuart Olson, were high school sweethearts, and before they were married, they traveled to England. They had a fabulous time in spite of constant rainy weather, but they assured me that there was no hanky-panky going on. They also visited Bill and I a few times in the Okanagan, and we always had a great visit. Stuart and Penny had no children, and they later parted ways. She met Harvey from Innisfail, who was working in Viking, and they were married 41 years. They have a daughter, Janelle Erickson, husband Justin, and 2 kids, Avi and Easton. Their son Jared has a son Rowan and a daughter Kaylee. Penny would later have a home-based business of doing housework for Viking and area clients. Times she would do laundry and bake cinnamon buns while working. And I think Arnold Bouquet enjoyed a few of those fresh from the oven buns. And although not a nurse, she did some personal care for an elderly gentleman. They all loved her. Rain or shine, she was there with her smile and laughter. She was a great cook and was well known for her specialty, Black Forest cake. She and Harvey always had a humongous garden, giving a lot of their bounty away. Summertime, she was busy with canning, pickling, jamming, and freezing everything. Penny was extremely talented and creative. She sewed all of her own doll clothes on Mom's old Singer machine and made all the Halloween costumes for herself, Harvey, as well as the kids. Penny loved to dance, and her favorite dance partner was Mo Setabi. Anybody who doesn't know Mo, he was about the same height as Penny. They would cut a rug at every dance they were at. They were a joy to watch. Some of her favorite times were camping in their trailer at a lake or with Harvey on a hunt. Don't get me wrong, it would not be tenting. She would need a hard roof over her head. I do remember a time when at a fishing camp, she used pine cones for hair rollers. Yes, she was that vain. This is Sis talking. Not many would see her without her hair done or her makeup on. My favorite memory of Penny is when she was single and came to live with Bill and I in West Bank for a couple weeks. She and I had a great idea. Let's pick grapes for easy money. Well, it's very hard work, but it does help to be short. Early mornings we would be out in the cold, come home, and before we took off our dirty clothes, we would have a little shot of wine. She once stayed long enough to work at Marshall Wells in Kelowna, but she got so homesick. Back to Viking she went. Oh, how I miss her, our almost daily long chats on the phone. One would wonder what we could talk about. Lots of times about town folk, who I had no clue about, but I was always interested in hearing about her kids and the other relatives. And about the hard times growing up, not a lot of money, but we had a lot of fun and love. I'm happy to think that she is with Mum and all our special family and friends who have passed, enjoying a smoke and a beer and dancing to her heart's content. May you rest in peace, my beautiful sister. I will remember and love you forever. Yes. Those are the words from Sis. And then, Sandra being Sandra, I agreed to do this if I could also share some stories about Penny, sort of coming from a different slant than what Sis came from. So, my name is Sandra Netfield, and I'm a first cousin of Penny's. She being the elder cousin by 13 days, and we grew up together in Viking. Chubb shared a few Penny stories with me, and oh, there were so many stories created in that little house on the east end of town. As one story goes, he and Penny were having a fight, and back in that day, fights were just a way to settle issues. No parental intervention, just a fair battle between two siblings. In this particular battle, Penny picked up a shoe and chucked it at Chubb. He ducked, and the shoe crashed into a vase, which in turn crashed to the floor. Andy Grace grabs a weapon of some sort, maybe a broom, maybe a yardstick, a wooden spoon, maybe the heel of the shoe that had been thrown. All very common weapons of child rearing. She was beating Chubb, maybe over the head, maybe the bum, could be anywhere. No part of a child's body was off limits. As Andy Grace is doing what must be done, Penny is wailing, "Don't hit him so hard, don't hit him so hard." But this is from Chubb. Notice that she didn't say, "I am the guilty one, hit me." I threw the shoe. No, she let him get the beating. All is fair in battles between siblings. For you younger folks out there, no, we were not abused, just got a few lickings. Sis has mentioned her love of animals, especially cats and dogs. Here's another Chubb tale. Her beloved pets passed on to better places in the sky, and she would conduct burials for them and had a pet cemetery happening in the backyard. Len Seltzer came over to rotivate the garden one day. And you know where that tale is going. Much weeping over her burial plots being disturbed. Gay Rania Nordstrom also shared the love of animals story. She and Penny were very close and remained close right to Penny's passing. They both lived on the east side of town, about 1 block apart. Penny would pick Gay up each morning. They would walk to school together, back home for lunch, back to school, and then back home. That's a lot of trips. This one day they spotted 2 wee mice in distress. I'm not sure what a distressed mouse looks like, but these 2 girls knew. So they scooped up the dear little creatures and took them to school. But then I think they exhausted all their capabilities, and the mousies were taken to Earl Kindley, who was the biology teacher. And I'm certain that Earl gave them the very best of medical attention. Penny had a very special relationship with the Haverly girls, Sharon Greenwood, Cork Ronjam, and Judy LeBreche. They coffeed together regularly and enjoyed many happy hours together. Many laughs and stories shared, probably recipes, advice about raising kids, how to remove stains from a tablecloth, and so on and so on. I know that Penny's passing had been very hard on the girls. And she had a very special friend, Kate Raby. Kate and Penny were very close, and Kate was very supportive to Penny in the later months. You have all heard of safety meetings. Well, here's Penny's version. She was working at Greensleeves, Debbie Wempill was working at the pharmacy, and Carol Collins was working at the beef market for George and Jean, her dad, mom and dad. Late Saturday, probably around 5 o'clock, the calls would start. Hey, meet at the grocery store for groceries. That was their secret code word for a little visit to the Viking Hotel after work. Just one more Penny story. A person could go on forever. In this story, she is now a resident of long-term care in Tofield. It is her bath day, and the staff help her undress, get into the lift, and swing up high to be lowered into the sentry tub. Now, if you don't know what a sentry tub is, they're not a nice low bathtub. They stand about this high. So they lift the person up with the lift, bring them over, and down into the tub, and they stay on the lift while they're having their bath. So that's what Penny's doing. So Penny is sitting in the chair. Chair and Penny go up. Penny doesn't come down. The lift quit working. And there is Penny. There's our Penelope, naked as a jaybird, resting up overhead. Now we need to get the maintenance man to come in and to save this poor damsel. Alberta Health Services facilities are not 5-star hotels. So she did not have a 4-foot bath sheet to cover herself with. She probably had a 12-inch square. It was all. So in comes the guy. And there is Penny perched like a queen on the throne. A naked queen. So what does Queen Penny do? But she introduces herself. Hi, I'm Penny. Pleased to meet you. And she told that story so well, with actions and all. I'm going to end this rambling tale by sharing some thoughts about our Penny in her last few months. Penny was always a very matter-of-fact girl, just like her mother. Don't moan about life, just get on with it. Sometimes a little ear tuck will help a child see the way, or a cup of coffee and smoke will solve many problems. It made me smile to see her getting to be so much like Auntie Grace. Her attitude toward her diagnosis and prognosis was truly inspirational. She suffered with pain for a few years before the correct diagnosis was made, so her quality of life wasn't great for a while. But as a resident in long-term care, she was so loved by all the staff and the other residents. She kept them laughing with her stories, a lot of them about her and her crazy goofs. She was never demanding towards the staff, so it was easy for them to care for her. They would come in, check on her, share a few words, have a good chuckle, and away they would go. Meal times were the same, Penny being the chatterbox that kept everyone amused. She had many visitors because she was so loved by so many people. You almost needed to book an appointment to see her. And when you're going to visit someone who's terminal, you kind of are a little bit apprehensive to go. What am I going to talk about? There's that elephant in the room. What are we going to do about that? Well, not with Penny. She addressed the situation, gave it a bit of attention, and moved on to having a good visit. She didn't ignore her fate, but she never let it take over her personality, and never once did she become a poorly person. If she lost her name, or her train of thought, she'd say, "Oh, I'm getting so damn goofy," smack me across the head, and continue on. Gay and I have had this conversation, both with the same experience. We'd go visit and come home, and I would tell Rick, "This is crazy. I have just visited a terminally ill gal. Stayed much longer than I should have because we were having so much fun chatting and laughing. And I have come home happier than I was when I left." The terminally ill person was cheering me up. Sort of backwards, I would say, but that was our Penny. The family expresses their deep gratitude for all the visits with Penny while she is in care, and a very special thanks to the physicians and the staff at the Viking Health Center and the amazing care staff at the Tofield Care Center. Penny was taken from us way too young. Yes, we miss her. Yes, there's a hole in our hearts. Yes, we cannot replace our Penny, but we can celebrate the most amazing person that she was. We can cherish the memories. We can share our stories. We can laugh and we can cry. We can do all these things because no one can ever take our Penny out of our hearts and thoughts. Our angel is watching from above, sharing our good days and our bad days, always with love, joy, and laughter. Sleep well, dear Penny. Love you forever. Now Harvey has requested that we do an open mic. If anybody would like to come up and share some stories, you are welcome to do so. Everybody rush at once. Chuck, would you like to share?
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody, each and every one of you, for coming, support the battle.
Come on in. If there's no one who wants to share any stories, and I guess if you do later on, just feel free to grab the mic and share as you wish. Now we're going to have a couple tunes by Debbie and Mark, cousins of Penny's.